Welcome to On This Day in Tudor History with me, Claire Ridgway, author of On This Day in Tudor History. Now I'm taking you back to the reign of Queen Elizabeth I today. For on this day in Tudor history, the 26th of April 1564, the bard William Shakespeare was baptised at Holy Trinity Church in Stratford-upon-Avon, Warwickshire. Now, we don't know the exact date of Shakespeare's birth, but as I've mentioned recently, it's traditionally celebrated on the 23rd of April, as babies at that time were usually baptised within a few days of their birth. The church where he was baptised is also his resting place, and if you visit Holy Trinity today, you can see copies of the register entries of his baptism and death in the parish records hanging on the wall, and also the font which would have been used to baptise Shakespeare in 1564. It's also lovely to pay your respects at his grave and see a bust of Shakespeare on the wall, which dates back to 1623, and which was erected by his widow Anne and his family and friends. As I said, Shakespeare was baptised on this day in 1564, and he was actually lucky to survive that summer. In July 1564, the plague hit Stratford-upon-Avon, where little William lived with his parents, John Shakespeare and Mary Arden. The first death in the parish was recorded on the 11th of July 1564 by John Bretchgirdle, vicar of Holy Trinity. The name of the victim was Oliver Gunn, an apprentice weaver who died in what is now the Garrick Inn in the town's high street. The words "Hic incepit pestis," "here begins the plague," are scribbled next to the burial entry, although they may have been added to the burial entry at a later date. But what was this plague that could have killed William Shakespeare? Well, plague is a bacterial infection caused by the bacterium Yersinia pestis, which is spread in various ways: in the air, by direct contact, by contaminated food, and from being bitten by infected fleas. Bubonic plague was spread via fleas from the black rat, and pneumonic plague was spread via droplets from people coughing. Symptoms included necrosis of the bite, swelling of lymph nodes in the neck and armpits, headache, fever, and delirium. Its deadliest form, pneumonic plague, affected the lungs and was highly infectious. It has been estimated that the Black Death, an epidemic of bubonic plague, wiped out 60% of Europe's population in the 14th century, and the last major English epidemic of bubonic plague was from 1665 to 1666 in London, where it's said to have killed a quarter of London's population. There were numerous outbreaks of plague in England throughout the 14th, 15th and 16th centuries, including the one I mentioned in Stratford. In Stratford, the bubonic plague epidemic lasted 6 months and killed over 200 people in the parish, around a fifth, although some say a seventh, of the population. William Shakespeare's family were very fortunate in escaping the plague. Also on this day in Tudor history, the 26th of April 1540, Catherine Carey, daughter of Mary Boleyn and niece of the late Queen Anne Boleyn, married Francis Knowles. It's not known whether the marriage was a love match, but it appears to have been a very happy and successful one that resulted in about 14 children. You can find out more about them in last year's video. I will also give you a link to my latest Fall of Anne Boleyn video. I did the videos last year counting down the events to Anne Boleyn's execution, but I'll give you a link here so that you can catch up on that now. Thank you for joining me. You can subscribe by clicking that button there. You can hit the bell to be notified as these videos go live, and you can, of course, give me a like and leave me a comment. See you soon. Bye-bye.